G'day and welcome with the Inforunners, Algared, and today I'm joined by Dasien and our special guest Osiris. How you going, Osiris?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Great. You might tell from our logo today, we're looking at the Phoenix. We had the walkthrough of a new area yesterday in RTV, and so we thought we'd talk about the new look Phoenix and what it brings to the gaming table, or does it stay in the ashes? But Dasien, do you want to start us off?
Don't take this the wrong way. Please take this as constructive criticism. Disco, shut up and don't blame the community for your errors or your compatriots. Please. Please, 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 when you make a mistake, own up to it. Or if it has to be changed, we understand that development changes, and that's something that the community may be upset about, but we can forgive. But insulting us and saying we were wrong when you guys advertised it, that is no good.
And when we say, own it, we're not saying, when you say, hey, we made the mistake, you're not saying you personally made the mistake. You're saying the company made the mistake. The company made the decisions. Someone may have put an errant line out. That line, though, was followed up in Q&As and other areas. But don't throw that person under the bus. The company made the choices. You work with the company, own the company. We made the mistake, just like we are the Inforunners. So yeah, to blame the community for saying we were misunderstood or we were confused, that's insulting. And I'm sorry, it's just not cool.
And to your point, Algared, I was thinking, when in the development process of this ship did CIG become aware that these changes were going to become necessary? Was it way back at the beginning? Was it during White Box or Gray Box? Or was it before they decided to offer us an emerald variant of the ship and make a whole bunch more money off the community? Something just doesn't seem right with the whole process as it played out.
Especially the ship.
I had forgotten about the St. Patrick's Day version until being sold until you actually raise it up. And it does raise the question, the St. Patrick's Day version was sold with all these things, and no effort was made to correct that misinformation until the RTV yesterday, and then we were mistaken. We were the ones confused. We were the ones in error, and that, it frustrates me to see that being the case put forward. So, yeah. So looking at the changes that we've got from the Phoenix right from the very beginning, the first changes we had were the power plant and the shield side being made to be the same size as what was in the other variants, because CIG changed the way they were doing component sizes. They changed from a 1 to 10 scale to a small, medium, large, capital, and the large wouldn't fit in that model, and so they changed it down. Same with the weapons. The turrets were supposed to be size 4. Size 3s look really weird on the Andromeda, so they were down size to size 2. If size 3s look weird on the Andromeda, size 4s were going to look insanely out of place on a Phoenix. It would have given it the Phoenix more of that phallic look, I suppose, than any of the Connies. But why couldn't you just make the Phoenix bigger? Make it a Mark 6 instead of a Mark 4.
Well, they did increase the size, but it'd be better to actually increase the size a little bit more, because their solution to the power supply is, in my opinion, the most idiotic solution ever. Oh, we're going to make it fancy parts, your competition parts that are going to give you more power but wear out faster. I'm like, okay, so the only thing special about this ship now is to actually operate it. Your operating costs have to be 10 times higher, and you're going to be doing way more maintenance on this, and it's nothing special.
But I can add those parts to my Andromeda anyway. Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to kind of piggyback on that and say that it could have been a whole new, not a variant, but like a larger hulled ship, like a kind of a super constellation, if you will.
Yeah, a supersize me. McDonald's version.
or even the latest variant, because if you look at the Apollo is sleek. Like, when I look at the Apollo, I'm like, man, why can't I have those curves on my Constellation, like a new version? Like, just imagine if they said, okay, we're going to increase this size a little bit more so we can fit everything that we promised into it. We then throw those newer looks, say, hey, this is the new Constellation of the future, and it will actually still be smaller than the 890, or not the 890, but the 600 series, which is huge, and it'll be a proper competitor.
It would have been nice that, you know, the Apollo becomes the mini-me, the Constellation Andromeda becomes the standard, and then the Phoenix is the supersized version. So you've got your kids package, your regular, and your supersized package, I suppose. And it would have made sense if making the Constellation that larger size, the Phoenix that larger size, it would have made sense of that marketing of the 600i, that it was a competitor to the Phoenix. But the size difference changes that whole idea. It's not a competitor to the Phoenix. It's a class of its own. So yeah, making the Phoenix bigger would have solved that problem, I think. What are your thoughts on the confusion over the cargo dampener?
Well, I'll say that I think the confusion is on CIG's part, because it seemed pretty clear to most of the community that this ship was promised with a cargo dampener, and they backpedaled on that.
Well,
yeah. Go on, Dyson.
They stole what is, in my opinion, one of the most unique factors about this ship. The ship had 3 unique factors: the PDS, the larger power plants, and the very special cargo dampening, which allows it to not only be like you can run cargo without people being able to notice what it is, it gives this whole new level of smuggling, where you have a respectable ship, which is unlikely to be boarded because it's a respectable ship. And then when they do, they're not going to necessarily be able to see what you're running.
I actually see all of those dampening fields not necessarily as smuggling components. You could use them for that, but I see them primarily as added security. Pardon me. It's a bit like car thieves. You know, they go down the road looking for cars to steal. Which one do they steal? Do they steal the open car or the locked car? They steal the open car. They go down the road, they come to the next 2 cars. Which car do they steal? The one with the steering lock or the one without? The one without. And so if you've got 2 ships that are flying nearby, and one's got the dampening device where you can't see the cargo, you can't see an area, do you take that ship out, or do you take the one where you can see, oh, it's got unobtainium in it? You go for the one that's got unobtainium because it's easier to find out what's there. And so I don't see them as necessarily smuggling features. They are just added security. You board the ship and you go to the Taurus, where you've got that the cargo pocket, where the extra safe. To break into that, you've got to crack the code to get into it, and so you're taking more time. That's more time the advocacy or the allies can turn up and blow your ship out of the sky.
Well, the thing is, the ship used to be able to defend itself. When you put it that way, what happened to all the guns and the extra turrets? I mean,
well, it's still got its 2 turrets. It still does have 2 turrets with 2 size 2s on it. It still does have a 4 size 4s. It still supposedly does have the PDS, but it's an automated turret, and it's not in game yet, so we don't know what that'll look like. We don't know how many missiles it's going to have now. It used to have 36 size 2, which was an upgrade. Less missiles than the Andromeda had, but more size 2s. But now the missile sizes are to be determined, and I've heard it mentioned in passing once or twice that they may be smaller than the Andromeda size 1s.
Sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say that kind of a common denominator in a lot of these criticisms is that CIG, through their development process, oftentimes has to scratch features that are promised on ships. And I understand to a degree that might happen once or twice, but if you set out from the start of a development with the idea that X, Y, and Z features are going to have to be mandated in the design of this thing, and then you build the whole concept ship around that, you'll have far fewer instances of having to make these kinds of changes or last minute bait and switch sort of things.
Well, to be fair to CIG, this is an older ship, and I understand with all the older ships that this was different because they're still trying to figure out the item sizes and all of that. They had concepts, and things changed as they leveled that out. But the point is, this is a limited run ship. You should be removing features from a ship that you've intentionally limited the quantity of because you want it to be rare and special. It's gone from the armored luxury where you go wherever you want because you're rich and you have the defense and luxury to why aren't you just getting a 600 series?
Well, I think that the Phoenix does still have V8 armor. It was always more armored than an Andromeda. We don't know how much armored it is and how that fits in with the other ships that are out in Star Citizen, but it certainly is more armored. Is it as have more power than the others? No. Does it have more shields than the others? No. Does it have better weapons than the others? No.
Slightly. PDS.
Does it have more missiles than the others or better missiles than the others? No. And so it for $125 extra to get this ship, that's like $25 less than is the Taurus 150, isn't it?
Taurus is 150. This is 350.
So for an additional $125 above the Andromeda, add another 25. You could have got a Taurus. You know, you're basically looking at doubling the ship price to get a Phoenix, and it's not really that much better. And so there seems to be this disconnect, and it just seems with all the other things to meet those promises, as Osiris was saying, build the ship around those things. Make it bigger if you need to. Make it a Constellation Mark 6. Make it the supersized version. Solve those problems. No problem. And done. So yeah, that's for me is one of the things that comes through. It's almost it's better than an Andromeda, but is it worth that 125? Not at all. But it sounds like we're just being absolutely negative and caning the Phoenix at the moment. We haven't seen the whole Phoenix. All we've been shown was that new interior. So what do you guys think on the new interior?
I think it's really good looking. I'm not personally someone who's into the whole digital luxury thing, but I think that the detail paid to the design has been really high quality, and the aesthetics look great.
I actually did like the way it flowed as well. The way Josh Coombs pointed out that, you know, even in behind the bar, it was done so that the AI would be able to, the passing for AI worked, so it wouldn't get caught up. So there's certainly room there, and it certainly felt roomy and spacious. I was surprised by how roomy and spacious it felt. What about you, Dyson?
Well, I love it. It had the train car experience. I look at this and I'm thinking, I'm in an Agatha Christie novel. I'm on the Orient Express. I'm having this great experience where I have my sleepers, cars, and then I go into the common area where there can be a piano and sipping a cocktail at the bar. Love that idea. Just gonna say, I like the color aesthetics they've chosen over what they did with the 600 series. I think that definitely needs to be commended. It's warmer.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely warmer. It certainly seemed to nail that luxury aesthetic, didn't it? And Josh Coombs even said he was going for that kind of train style, that train carriage style approach where we've got the rooms kind of on the side and the passageway. So yeah, I think he's done that. And the 600i to me just feels sterile. It always does. It's a great science ship, but it doesn't seem to say luxury. Whereas this interior that they showed us yesterday does seem to say more luxury. It's warmer, it's richer, it seems spacious, even though it's a smaller ship. What did you think of the idea of the windows on the sides and the? I think do you like that idea or?
It's good to be able to look out when you're in transit.
Yeah,
I love the galaxy roof, was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I like the way they kept the galaxy roof. I like the windows on the side. It did give that train travel type view as well, you know, sitting in the carriage and looking out the window.
Ford is what I thought. When I looked at that, I was thinking of Tin Ford on, for those of you who don't know, Star Trek Next Generation, just the windows that you get of that nice little bar and being able to look out into space.
Yep. And what did you think of the idea of that the optional loadout for that dining table or conference table and the piano?
Well, the piano is a nice touch, but I think with the conference table that they had in there by default, it was a little bit redundant with that side seating area over behind the fish tank, where there were 4 seats that faced each other where you could have a conference. So I didn't know what you would need a second conference table for. You could put something else more useful, more luxurious, entertaining there.
So any ideas what else you could have put there rather than the piano or the table? Poker table.
Poker table.
So high level gaming tables or pool tables or things like that.
Or stripper pole.
Sorry, what?
That should go next where the hot tub is instead.
Yeah, I said a stripper pole, Algared.
Yeah, okay. And to go back to the idea of making it bigger, we know that I think Josh Coombe said the midsection was 14% wider and 10% long, like 14% longer and wider and 10% longer, not longer. And the other thing I did like was that the new cargo bay, the actual entrance to the cargo bay, the lift going down. I like the idea that it was less, more industrial looking, less fancy, because concept idea being the passengers wouldn't go there. But that brings us to our negatives, I think, unless you want to chuck in something, Dyson.
I was actually about ready to say, as much as I like that, this really is where I have my biggest issue with this ship. Outside, let's just say all the promises were met, and this ship was what it was supposed to be. The biggest design flaw in this ship is how you get in and out and use the bathroom, because you get in and out passing through the crew quarters. The crew could be asleep. They could be taking a shower. I mean, it's going to be smelly in there. It's not going to be your luxury area. And you're walking right through that. Or you have to walk through this industrial cargo bay to get into the ship. And why?
Yeah. All right. So while that more industrial cargo bay does fit, if you're bringing your passengers in, I imagine via the Ursa rover, and they're coming in and they're hopping out and they're going up the lift, you don't naturally want that your high clientele customers to be greeted by a less industrial look of the cargo bay. And the passenger entrance or crew entrance lift seems obscene. Walking through the crew quarters and the shower. If you want to go to toilets, as you pointed out, you've got to go back and use the crew's toilets or shower. There's only one cubicle. What are the crew members having the shower when you want yours? Oh, piffle.
And I just imagine the awkward conversation in the hallway. He's just sitting there, like with a towel wrapped around him, waiting in line.
Oh, you're wanting to
come here often?
Excuse me, sir. I need to get to the bridge. Yeah, it just seems out there. I like Josh Coombe's explanation of the idea of when you go to a high place bar, but the toilets aren't right next to you. They're kind of tucked away and you go around the little side corners. But to have to go through basically the restaurant kitchen and storage room and back room to get to the toilet, that doesn't make sense to me.
It needs to be closer to the door, and they really need 2 at that point, because you don't have, when you go to a high class club, just a individual bathroom. You're gonna have at least like 2 stalls.
But what I was thinking is that when you had the stairwell and you had the first room on the right, that would have been a perfect position to put a multi-use bathroom with maybe 2.
One of the guest bedrooms, you mean?
Yeah. That first
or
guest
hot tub
bedroom
area
they showed us. Yeah, we'll get to the hot tub. But that would have been an ideal place to put it out of the way, kind of not in the main party area, around the corner. Fits in with that idea. Now, for me, the hot tub is a bone of contention. I personally hate the hot tub. Now, I know the hot tub, when it came out, was loved or hated by the community, and yet we don't have an option to have an alternative loadout. We've got an alternative loadout for the piano or the table, but not for the hot tub. And yet it was known that half the community hated it and half loved it. What gives? Why can't you just give us the choice? What were you going to say about the hot tub before, Dyson?
I was just going to say you need to get rid of it because you need escape pods. You have escape pods for your crew. But, high-risk clientele, bye. Have fun. As the ship blows up.
I think that part of the issue here is that CIG doesn't have a cohesive idea of what constitutes luxury. They're trying to sell people on it. They're upcharging ships that are quote-unquote luxurious, but basic functionality like a bathroom or an escape pod are missing because it's just overlooked in their design process in lieu of an additional conference table or guest bedroom.
I was thinking in terms of the life pod, kind of giving rather than having the little individual crew ones, that 4-seat area, which you was talking about as being a kind of a conferencey area. If that was an enclosed area which had a door that's rolled down and sealed it off, that would make a nice cargo area. It's about the size of the back of an Argo. So it's an 8-man cargo pod, but it's been reduced to a 4-man cargo pod because it's luxury. That makes sense. So, but for me, the hot tub, why can't we have an alternative loadout? The command and control screen, or a science bay, or even another, turn the first guest bedroom into the toilet center and turn the hot tub into an optional second master bedroom. Either of those would work for me, but
plenty of options. One thing I'm surprised they haven't introduced with this ship or even the 600 series is actually the idea of subscriber flare, being able to display that in your ship.
Well, I do believe that's coming. Like that is something that's been said would be with all ships. You'd be able to put flare down, put your clothes in the ship's cupboard or whatever. But if the ship was blown up, then those items would be lost. So I think that's coming, but this is a ship that would lend itself ideally to having that. Same with the 600i, or the ships with big tables and places. So the question, guys, is, are we right? Has the Phoenix fallen into the ashes rather than rising in glory? Or what?
Yep.
So sorry, Dyson.
I was just gonna say, guys, please check out Osiris's channel. Some good content there.
Executes lurking in the shadows.
All right, Mr. Scorpio, tell us about your channel.
I've started content back in February of this year, and I've been doing some modest speculation. Maybe not anything on the scale of the Inforunners, but we can all aspire to something, can't we?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of working my way through the comment section of YouTube.
Okay. All right, guys. We hope you have enjoyed our session of speculation and whining. If you like what we've done or like what we've said, please like the video. If you don't like it, feel free to hit that dislike button. But if you do, please give us feedback. Tell us why you don't like it. And again, tell us why you like it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We'd love to see you guys. We do have a Discord channel. and we do read all the comments that come in either through Discord or on the YouTube. We may not answer them, but we do always read them, and we do try and engage with you guys. And on that note, I was Algared, that was Dasien, and right next to me was our special guest, Osiris. See you around, guys. Take care.
See you around. We got some wine for that cheese.
See ya.